PT Garuda Indonesia Tbk, publicly known as Garuda Indonesia, is the flag carrier of Indonesia. It is named after the mythical giant bird Garuda of Hinduism and Buddhist mythology. Garuda Indonesia is headquartered at Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Tangerang, near Jakarta. The airline operates flights to a number of destinations in Southeast Asia, East Asia, the Middle East, Europe and Australia from its main hub, Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, as well as other hubs at Ngurah Rai International Airport, Sultan Hasanuddin International Airport, Kuala Namu International Airport, Juanda International Airport. Garuda is currently the official partner of Liverpool FC. The airline received its IATA Operational Safety Audit in 2008 and 2010. In 2012, the airline officially spin off its Citilink low-cost operations. On March 5, 2014, Garuda Indonesia became the 20th member of SkyTeam Alliance. History, beginnings. The earliest predecessor to Garuda Indonesia was KNILM, Royal Dutch Indies Airways, founded in 1928 during the Dutch colonial period. Despite the similar name, it was not a subsidiary of the main Dutch carrier KLM. KNILM was dissolved in 1947, and its assets were transferred to a new KLM subsidiary, KLM Interinsular Bedrift, which was nationalized in December 1949. Garuda Indonesia in its current institutional form had its beginnings in the Indonesian War of Independence against the Dutch in the late 1940s, when Garuda flew special transports with the Douglas DC-3. January 26, 1949 is generally recognized as the airline's founding date, at which time the airline was known as Garuda Indonesian Airways. The first aircraft was a DC-3 known as Sila and was purchased for a sum of 120,000 Malayan dollars, which was provided by the people of Aceh. During the revolution, the airline supported Indonesian interests, such as carrying Indonesian leaders for diplomatic missions. The Burmese government helped the airline significantly during its beginnings. The country's national airline, Union of Burma Airways, often chartered this DC-3 for its own flights. Accordingly, upon Garuda's formal joint incorporation with KLM on March 31, 1950, the airline presented the Burmese government with a DC-3. By 1953, the airline had 46 aircraft, although by 1955 its Catalina fleet had been retired. 14 de Havilland Heron aircraft were acquired to serve shorter-range routes. In June 1956, Garuda made its first Hajj flight, operated with a Convair 340 carrying 40 Indonesians, to the city of Mecca. The name Garuda was derived from a Dutch poem written by renowned Javanese scholar and poet Raden Mas Noto Suroto. Ik ben Garuda, Vishno's Vogel, die zich vleugels hoog boven uwei London, which means I'm Garuda, Vishnu's bird, that spreads its wings high above the islands. In Hindu mythology, Garuda is the name of Lord Vishnu's mount. The line was mentioned by Sukarno during the Dutch-Indonesian Round Table Conference at The Hague, from August 23 to November 2, 1949. 1960s, growth and expansion. The 1960s were times of growth for the airline. The fleet in 1960 included 8 Convair 240s, 8 Convair 340s and 8 Convair 440s. In 1961 3 Lockheed L-188 Electras 4-engine turboprop airliners were acquired, and in late 1965, 3 Convair 990 Coronado 4-engine jet aircraft were introduced and a route was opened to Kai Tak International Airport in Hong Kong. After having concentrated on domestic and regional services, the first scheduled flights to Europe were added on September 28, 1963, to Amsterdam and Frankfurt. In 1965, flights to Europe were expanded to include Rome and Paris via Bombay and Cairo, with the exclusive use of Garuda's Convair 990 aircraft. That year, flights to People's Republic of China started, with Garuda flying to Canton via Phnom Penh. Also in 1965, the jet age arrived for Garuda, with a Douglas DC-8 that flew to Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport via Colombo, Bombay, Rome and Prague. 1970s are Euro 1980s, new equipment. During the early 1970s, Garuda Indonesia introduced McDonnell Douglas DC-9 and Fokker F-28 Fellowship twin-jet aircraft, and at one point Garuda owned 62 Fokker jets, making Garuda the world's largest operator of F-28s at that time. In 1973, the carrier introduced the Douglas DC-10. It later introduced the Boeing 747-200. The airline added the Airbus A300B4 to its fleet on June 21, 1982. Garuda was the launch customer for Airbus A300 with two-man crew cockpit. By 1984, 9 of these were in service, supplemented by 8 Douglas DC-10s, 24 Douglas DC-9s, 45 Fokker F-28s, and 6 Boeing 747-200s. In 1985 in Alton Johannes Lumenta Garuda created a controversy by hiring foreign brand consultants Lander Associates to create a new logo and color scheme for Garuda Indonesia, a project that cost the company millions of US dollars. This move was later on applauded as vital for the reputation and corporate identity of Garuda Indonesia as the national airline. Under Lumenta, Garuda also increased flight frequency and destinations, reduced ticket prices and collaborated with Merpati, introducing flexible tickets valid for both Indonesian airlines. During the 1970s the airline had its headquarters in Jakarta. 1990s, difficult time for Garuda. In 1991, Garuda purchased 9 McDonnell Douglas MD-11s. It later introduced Boeing 747-400 in 1994, and Airbus A330-300, in 1996. But during this time, Garuda suffered 2 major accidents. The first of these happened in Japan in the summer of 1996. The second happened in 1997 when an Airbus A300 crashed near Medan, North Sumatra, killing everyone aboard in what remains Indonesia's worst aviation disaster. The 1997 Asian financial crisis hit Indonesia and Garuda hard, resulting in severe cutbacks on unprofitable routes. Despite once having a comprehensive worldwide route network, Garuda currently suspends services to United States, despite once flown to Honolulu and continues to Los Angeles. Largely due to historical links with the Netherlands, Garuda continued to operate flights to Amsterdam and Frankfurt after the initial cutbacks, although these flights were also discontinued from October 28, 2004. The situation was exacerbated by the 11 September 2001 terrorist attacks in the U.S., the Bali bombings, the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, and the SARS scare, all of which contributed to a downturn in air travel and Indonesian tourism. However, by 2005, the airline had largely recovered from its economic problems. 2009, plummeting reputation and EU ban. On September 7, 2004, human rights activist Munir Said Thalib was murdered on Garuda Indonesia Flight 974. Garuda's CEO at the time, Indra Seshawan, his deputy Rowena Laney, and pilot Polikarpus Prianto were all convicted of his murder. Garuda was found negligent in refusing to perform an emergency landing and was ordered to pay compensation to Munir's widow. Garuda then failed to pay the compensation for several years until recently. In June 2007, the EU banned Garuda Indonesia, along with all other Indonesian airlines, from flying into any European countries, following the crash of a Boeing 737-400 earlier that year. With the support of the international aviation industry for all Indonesian airlines, the EU promised to review its ban and sent a team of experts, led by the European Commission's Air Safety Administrator Federico Grandini to Indonesia to consider lifting the ban. In August 2007, the Transportation Minister of Indonesia announced that the EU would lift its ban hopefully sometime in October, stating that the ban was attributed to communication breakdown between the two parties and that discussion was in progress. In November 2007, Garuda announced its intention to fly to Amsterdam from Jakarta and Makassar on the condition that the European Union lifted the ban on the airline. Airbus A330s and Boeing 777 were aircraft that were suggested as being suitable for use on these revitalized routes. On November 28, 2007, the EU refused to lift its ban on Garuda flying to all European countries. It announced the safety reforms already undertaken were a step in the right direction for the EU to consider lifting the ban, but still did not satisfy the EU's aviation safety standards. The ban was lifted in July 2009. In the wake of the ban being lifted, Garuda plans to start services to Amsterdam and is considering other European destinations in the near future. Management is also considering servicing the US where it currently has no services. In July 2007, the Deputy of Marketing, Ministry of Culture and Tourism of Indonesia announced that Garuda Indonesia had plans to start service to India, although the date had not been determined. In July 2009, following a third mission led again by Federico Grandini, the European Commission lifted Garuda Indonesia's ban from flying into Europe. This was followed by 3 other airlines. 2009 A Euro Present, Rebirth. Following the lifting of the EU ban against Garuda Indonesia and 3 other Indonesian carriers, the airline announced in July 2009 an aggressive 5-year expansion plan known as the Quantum Leap. The plan involved an image overhaul, including changing the airline's livery, staff uniform and logo. Within a 5-year period, its fleet would double from 62 to 116 aircraft. The Quantum Leap also plans to boost passenger annual numbers to 27.6 million in the same period, up from 10.1 million at the time of program launch through increasing domestic and international destinations from 41 to 62. Route expansions included Amsterdam, with a stopover in Dubai, in 2010. A non-stop flight using Boeing 777-300ERs is planned for 2014. Other routes to world hubs such as London, Frankfurt, Paris, Rome, Madrid and Los Angeles are being considered for reopening. In 2009, Garuda adopted a new logo and aircraft color scheme, replacing designs that had been in use for over 20 years. New uniforms were introduced in 2010. At the 2010 Farnborough Air Show, Garuda announced an order for another 6 A330-200 airliners. According to Garuda Indonesia Euro unregistered trademark S technical director, Garuda Indonesia planned to buy 9 Boeing 737-800 and 2 Airbus 330-200s in 2011. With aims to improve flight capacity and frequency to eastern Indonesia, Garuda Indonesia opened a third hub located at the Sultan Hasanuddin International Airport, Makassar, South Sulawesi from June 1, 2011. The company's first 2 hubs are Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, and Ngurah Rai International Airport. Garuda Indonesia is increasing the flight frequency of its domestic and international routes. Of the international routes, Garuda is increasing its frequency of Jakarta-Singapore to 8 times daily with a Boeing 737-800, Jakarta-Bangkok to 3 times daily with a Boeing 737-800, Jakarta-Hong Kong to 2 times daily with an A330-200 and a Boeing 737-800, Jakarta-Beijing to 5 times weekly with an Airbus A330-300 and an A330-200, Jakarta-Shanghai to 5 times weekly with an A330-200 and an Airbus A330-300, and Seoul to 5 times weekly with a Boeing 747-400 and an A330-300. The airline resumed service to Taipei from Jakarta on May 25, 2012. At the Paris Air Show 2011, Garuda Indonesia announced a firm order of 25 Airbus A320s with an option for another 25. All 25 Airbus A320s are to be used by their subsidiary, Citilink. The airline made its debut on the Indonesia Stock Exchange in February 2011, with the government of Indonesia retaining a majority of the shares. PT Trans Airways bought 10.9% stake of Garuda Indonesia and sold IPO shares from underwriters in April 27, 2012. The transaction was valued at $1.53 trillion. Presidents and CEOs, Emir Syar Sattar President and CEO 2005 a Euro Present. Indra Session 2002 to 2005, Abdul Ghani 1999 to 2002, Robbie Joan 1998 to 1999, Soe Pandi 1995 to 1998, Wage Mulyono 1992–1995, Silipano 1988–1992, Renalton Johannes Lumenke President and CEO 1984–1988. Wiweko Sarapono 1968–1984, Soejarmano 1965–1968, Partano 1961–1965, Marskal Iskander 1959–1961, Sutoto 1954–1959, Dr. E. Konigenberg 1950–1954, Corporate Affairs and Identity. Branding and livery. Since its establishment, Garuda Indonesia has changed its branding and livery a few times. During the early years, Garuda introduced a red and white color scheme in accordance to the Indonesian national identity and the Indonesian flag. In the 1950s, Garuda Indonesian Airways introduced a bird logo, a triangle-stylized eagle like Garuda with red and white shield. The logo was painted on the vertical stabilizer of Garuda's fleet from 1960 to 1969. In the 1970s, a logotype with a unique font replaced the triangular eagle as Garuda's corporate identity, along with a new color scheme consisting of a red and orange hockey stick line running along the aircraft's windows and vertical stabilizer. In 1985, Garuda undergoes a complete branding makeover, changing its name into Garuda Indonesia along with its color scheme, logo and logotype. The new branding and livery was created by Lander Associates, who also created the new iconic bird logo, the Garuda symbol with 5 bended lines forming its wings. The color scheme was changed completely to a deep royal blue and aqua color, said to be inspired by the nature of Indonesia that was dominated by tropical greenery and seas when viewed from the air. The nationalistic red and white color scheme was no longer used. In 2009, a new branding initiative was launched through a new image, developed once again by brand consultant Lander Associates, a new spin of the idea called Nature's Wing. Garuda has since replaced the old logo painted on its fleet vertical stabilizer with this new Nature's Wing graphic of blue and aqua shades. The Nature's Wing graphic was inspired by the wings of tropical birds as well as the ripples of waves upon the water. The iconic bird symbol designed by Lander 24 years earlier is still maintained as Garuda Indonesia's logo, however the logotype is changed completely. The new look is expected to be able to capture the spirit of friendliness and professionalism of Indonesia. To celebrate its 62 years of service on January 26, 2011, Garuda Indonesia painted 2 of its Boeing 737-800 aircraft with the retro liveries the airline used in the 1960s and 1970s. For the company's slogan, there are several slogans that were used in the past: Garuda Indonesia, Kni Lebih Baik, Garuda Indonesia, Permata Nusantara, Garuda Indonesia, Nusantara Bangsa. The current slogan is, Garuda Indonesia, the airline of Indonesia. Head Office. Garuda Indonesia has its head office at Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Tangerang, Banten, Indonesia, near Tangerang and near Jakarta. The head office is the Garuda Indonesia Management Building, located within the Garuda Indonesia City Centre. The about 17,000 square metre head office facility is on a 5-hectare plot of land. As of 2009, the head office houses the Garuda management and about 1,000 employees from various units. Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono opened the current Garuda head office in 2009. The previous head office was located in the city centre of Jakarta, in central Jakarta. Privatization. Garuda Indonesia had announced that its subsidiary, GMF Aero Asia, would be listed in Indonesia Stock Exchange in 2008. However, due to financial crisis in 2008, GMF delayed IPO until 2009. The Ministry of State-owned companies also had announced a plan to privatize Garuda, that opened a possibility to offer its shares publicly. Garuda Indonesia aimed to list on February 11, 2011, for an initial public offering. Government of Indonesia has confirmed the IPO price of Garuda Indonesia at Rp750 per share and also cut offering size to 6.3 billion shares only from 9.362 billion planned before. Subsidiaries. Garuda Indonesia Euro unregistered trademark S subsidiaries include. Destinations. On October 13, 2009, Garuda Indonesia announced they will be resuming flights to Europe for the first time after removal from the EU blacklist. The flight, operating since June 1, 2010, is to Amsterdam, the Netherlands, with a stopover at Dubai, United Arab Emirates, operated by an Airbus A330-200 aircraft. As of December 2, 2012, the airline operates flights from Jakarta to Amsterdam with a stopover at Abu Dhabi as part of its code-share deal with Etihad Airways. After joining SkyTeam Alliance, Garuda will launch non-stop flight service from Jakarta to Amsterdam starting on May 30, 2014 in order to utilize the benefit of wide network which Amsterdam Airport Schiphol has as the biggest SkyTeam hub in Europe. As the consequence of this non-stop service, flights to Abu Dhabi from Amsterdam will no longer be served by Garuda. However, Garuda will continue serving Abu Dhabi from Jakarta. The airline is planning to introduce a non-stop flight from Jakarta to London Gatwick using new Boeing 777-300ER in the mid-2014, but then Garuda postpones again the launching schedule to September 8, 2014 due to uncertain time slot in overcrowded London Gatwick Airport. This Jakarta-London route will be served via Amsterdam. Besides resuming flight to London in 2014, Garuda also plans to open international routes to Manila, General Santos and Mumbai, although exact opening dates are yet to be determined. In 2011, Garuda flew 17.1 million passengers, up 39% from last year, while the total revenue jumped 38% to a P27.1 trillion. Composition of passengers on domestic routes and international routes was 81% versus 19% respectively. Garuda and Galant Venture are developing a new hub for domestic international flights to Europe and the Far East on a 177-hectare area on Bintan Island that includes a new airport, runway and maintenance facility. It will relieve the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, which is at full capacity. Code-share agreements and alliances. Code-sharing has allowed Garuda Indonesia to expand services into Western Europe and the Middle East. In 2009, Garuda Indonesia expressed an interest in joining the SkyTeam Airline Alliance, which would make it the second airline in Southeast Asia to join after Vietnam Airlines. Membership would open SkyTeam's network to Indonesian, Australian, and New Zealand markets. In December 2009, 3 SkyTeam members are Euro-Korean Air, KLM, and Delta Airlines are committed to supporting Garuda Indonesia to join SkyTeam. This made Garuda Indonesia eligible to apply for membership in the alliance. On November 23, 2010, Garuda Indonesia signed an agreement to join SkyTeam. The airline became the 20th member of the alliance on March 5, 2014. Garuda Indonesia offers flights to 16 other international destinations through code-share agreements with Indicators SkyTeam. On June 19, 2007, Garuda Indonesia and Hainan Airlines began code-sharing in a bid to strengthen both airlines' marketing positions in Indonesia and People's Republic of China. In this agreement, Garuda Indonesia will be the operating partner on the Jakarta-Beijing service, flying 5 times a week using the new A330-200. An interline agreement between Garuda Indonesia and Australian airline Virgin Blue was confirmed in November 2007. This facilitates travel for passengers connecting from a Virgin Australia domestic flight to a Garuda Indonesia international service departing from either Sydney, Melbourne or Perth. On June 2008, it was announced that Garuda Indonesia would increase services between Australia and Bali. From June 25, Garuda Indonesia added an extra flight between Darwin and Denpasar, bringing the total number of services to 3 per week. Additionally, a 4th flight from Melbourne to Denpasar began on July 22. On September 2, another extra service departed from Melbourne to bring the total number of flights per week to 5, and a 6th flight left from Sydney. This extra capacity was in response to an increase in the number of Australians who travelled to Bali in the first quarter of 2008, marking a resurgence in Balinese tourism, which was hard hit by the 2002 and 2005 Bali bombings. On August 2008, a code-share agreement between Singapore Airlines and the airline en route between Singapore and Denpasar was established. Singapore Airlines is the operating carrier. A partnership agreement with Etihad Airways was announced on October 16, 2012. The partnership includes a code-share agreement for a total of 36 flights between the two airlines. Subject to government regulatory approval. Reciprocal frequent flyer programs were also part of the agreement, allowing passengers to earn miles flying both Garuda Indonesia and Etihad Airways. Garuda Indonesia subsequently shifted its Dubai operations to Abu Dhabi as to complement the agreement. During the APEC summit on October 7, 2013, a code-share agreement between Garuda Indonesia and Aeromexico was announced, allowing passengers to travel from Jakarta to Mexico City via Tokyo and vice versa. Under the code-share agreement, Aeromexico would place its flight numbers on Garuda Indonesia's Jakarta-Tokyo flights while Garuda Indonesia would place its flight numbers on Aeromexico's Tokyo-Mexico City flights. On November 19, 2013, a code-share agreement was announced between Garuda Indonesia and Jet Airways of India. Under the code-share agreement, Jet Airways would place its flight numbers on Garuda Indonesia flights between Jakarta and Singapore while Garuda Indonesia would place its flight numbers on Jet Airways flights between Singapore and Mumbai, Delhi and Chennai. The two airlines also announced a reciprocal frequent flyer program partnership, allowing passengers to earn miles flying both Garuda Indonesia and Jet Airways. On December 19, 2013, Garuda Indonesia and Japan's All Nippon Airways announced a partnership agreement encompassing code-share flights as well as reciprocal frequent flyer programs. Under the code-share agreement, ANA passengers arriving in Jakarta would be able to transfer to 10 destinations in Indonesia on board Garuda Indonesia flights, while Garuda Indonesia passengers arriving in Tokyo or Osaka would be able to transfer to 11 destinations in Japan on board ANA flights. Explore and Explore Jet sub-brands. As Indonesia's flag carrier, Garuda Indonesia tries to connect many parts of Indonesia to support the government's Indonesian Interconnectivity Program. However, there are many remote and smaller airports that cannot be reached by Garuda Indonesia's fleet of Boeing 737-800. This is caused by the lack of airport infrastructure in smaller cities and remote areas, such as insufficient runway length but mostly less than 1,600 meters. In line with its Quantum Leap plan, Garuda Indonesia has ordered brand new Bombardier CRJ-1000 and leased ATR-72 to reach smaller airports from Garuda's hub like Ngurah Rai International Airport, Sultan Hasanuddin International Airport, and Kuala Namu International Airport. On November 25, 2013, Garuda Indonesia has launched its new sub-brands Explore and Explore Jet, and opening shorter-range lines to connect Indonesian islands. These new lines such as from Denpasar on to Labuan Bajo, and Bima, as well as from Makassar and Ambon to remote destinations in those regions. This popularly called Perintis lines traditionally served by other government-owned airlines Merpati Nusantara Airlines and also its competitor Wings Air. The 20th SkyTeam member, on March 5, 2014, Garuda Indonesia officially joined the SkyTeam Alliance and becomes its 20th member. The inclusion of Garuda Indonesia adds 40 new destinations to SkyTeam unregistered trademark's global network and strengthens the alliance presence in Southeast Asia and Australia. With the arrival of Garuda Indonesia to SkyTeam, a variety of facilities are given as including Sky Priority, as well as changing its current frequent flyer membership into Garuda Miles. In addition, Garuda was connected with 140 new destinations. By this time, the journey will be much faster. Garuda has also teamed up with the world's major airlines, such as KLM, Air France, Delta Airlines, Aeroflot, China Airlines, Aroma Copyright Zico and Saudia. Fleet. All of Garuda Indonesia's aircraft are maintained by GMF Aero Asia. The Boeing customer code for Garuda Indonesia is U3, which appears in their aircraft designation as a suffix, such as 737-5U3, 737-8U3 and 747-4U3. Garuda Indonesia Flight 88 is currently the airline's longest regularly scheduled non-stop commercial flight with the Boeing 777-300ER, with a flight time of about 14 hours. The airline shifted the London Gatwick's non-stop flight plan to Amsterdam after joining the SkyTeam Alliance, which is headquartered at Amsterdam Airport Schiphol and plans to utilise the connections available from Amsterdam Airport. Currently, the airline is utilising the Airbus A330-200s on its route to East Asian and Australian flights originating from Jakarta, Boeing 747-400s on their Indonesia to Jeddah routes, Airbus A330-300s for most of their Australian and East Asian routes originating from Bali, Boeing 737-800 on most domestic and regional routes, the Boeing 737 Classics and Bombardier CRJ-1000 Next Gen on regional domestic sectors. The Boeing 777-300ERs entered service in July 2013 and are being used on the Jakarta-Jeddah route, Jakarta-Tokyo-Narita route, Jakarta, Shanghai Pudong, Jakarta, Amsterdam route, and from September 2014, Amsterdam, London Gatwick route. Some Boeing 737 Classics are still being operated on domestic routes which are newly opened and also on some airports which do not have the sufficient runways to handle larger aircraft such as Boeing 737-800. Those remaining Boeing 737 Classics fleets will be replaced by Bombardier CRJ-1000 Next Gen and Boeing 737-800. The ATR 72-600 turboprop entered into service by the end of 2013 for serving new inter-island routes to airports in the eastern part of Indonesia that cannot handle jet aircraft. As of August 2014, the Garuda Indonesia fleet consists the following aircraft. Services: Garuda Indonesia is a full-service airline featuring economy, business and first classes. The airline began to introduce new premium products and services with the arrival of the Airbus A330-200 and Boeing 737-800 aircraft. First-class cabins were introduced in 2013 on board the Boeing 777-300ER with Wi-Fi and telecommunication services on board. Cabin, First Class. First Class is available on all Boeing 777-300ERs, featuring 8 suites arranged in a 1-2-1 configuration. The first-class suites are fitted with 24 inches AVOD screen and seats that converts into a bed. A new chef on board service will enhance the dining experience. First-class passengers can use in-flight Wi-Fi connectivity at no cost. It has a seat pitch of 82 inches and a seat width of 22 inches. Executive Class, Garuda's business class product, is available on all aircraft except ATR 72. The new executive class cabin on board Garuda's Boeing 777-300ERs are fitted with EADS Sogama flatbed seats arranged in a staggered 1-2-1 configuration, allowing for direct aisle access to all executive class passengers. These seats features with 73 inches of seat pitch, 15 AVOD screen, USB ports, in-seat laptop power supply, and personal reading light. Turn-down service are also offered. On board Airbus A330s, the executive class cabin are equipped with flatbed seats on the older -200s and lie-flat seats on all -300s and newer -200s. These seats feature a 6-degree incline, 74 inches seat pitch and a recline of up to 180 degrees. Seats are equipped with personal AVOD in-flight entertainment system, USB ports, in-seat laptop power supply, and personal reading light. Executive class seats on board Garuda's Airbus A330 series aircraft are configured in a 2-2-2 configuration. Garuda's newer Boeing 737-800 aircraft also features a new executive class product with 42 inches of seat pitch in a 2-2 layout, equipped with an in-seat laptop power supply, personal 9-inch touchscreen and handset-activated AVOD in-flight entertainment, and personal reading light. Garuda's Boeing 747-400 and Boeing 737 Classic aircraft feature refurbished older executive class seats in new colors. Executive class seats of Garuda's Boeing 747-400 feature 46 inches 48 seat pitch and 19 seat width, while the executive class seats of Garuda's Boeing 737 classic aircraft have 41-44 seat pitch and 19 seat width. Portable media players are provided on board Garuda's Boeing 747-400 aircraft operating the Jakarta-Jeddah route. A range of hot and cold beverages are available, along with snacks and/or meals, depending on the length of the flight. Wine and beers are also offered on international flights. In July 2011, Garuda Indonesia launched the Indonesian Ridge Tafel service in executive class as part of its signature in-flight services. The signature dining service introduces the passengers to a wide array of Indonesian cuisine in a single setting, as part of the Garuda Indonesia experience. This in-flight Indonesian Ridge Tafel includes varieties of Indonesian signature dishes. Choices of nasi kuning or regular steamed rice, accompanied with choices of dishes such as satay, rendang, gado-gado grilled chicken rika, red snapper in yellow akar sauce, fried shrimp in sambal, potato perkedel and tempeh, along with kenupuk or rempeyek crackers. In-flight entertainment. In-flight entertainment is available on board selected Garuda Indonesia aircraft. Garuda's Boeing 777-300ER, Airbus A330s, and newer Boeing 737-800 aircraft are equipped with audio-video on-demand in-flight entertainment system in all classes. The economy class on these aircraft features a 9-inch LCD touchscreen, while the executive class features a 9-inch, 11-inch and 15-inch touchscreen LCD in Garuda's Boeing 737-800, older Airbus A330-200, and all remaining Airbus A330 series aircraft respectively. In executive class on board the Airbus A330-300 and Ngurah Rai 330-200 aircraft, the screens are located on the seat backs or in the armrest bulkhead rows, while in the older Airbus A330-200 aircraft and Boeing 737-800, the screens are stowed in the armrest. In economy class, they are on the seat back. Garuda's Boeing 747-400 aircraft are equipped with cabin screens that shows airshow, as well as featured films and short movies. Audio programmings are also available. Passengers in executive class can order portable media players from flight attendants. Newspapers and magazines are provided to all passengers on board all flights. 6 international television channels will be available on board the Boeing 777-300ER. Immigration on board. Immigration on board is a special service created by Garuda Indonesia to provide more convenience for their passengers traveling to Indonesia. With this service, in cooperation with the Directorate General of Immigration, along with Indonesian Ministry of Law and Human Rights, Garuda Indonesia passengers on certain long-haul flights can complete their immigration process on board before landing and disembarking. By utilizing this service, Garuda Indonesia passengers will no longer have to queue at the immigration counter upon arrival at Ngurah Rai International Airport in Denpasar or Soekarno-Hatta International Airport in Jakarta, affording passengers the benefit of saving their precious time. Ticketing. A Jakarta-based 24-hour call center is available for local customer access where payment can be made by credit cards, internet mobile banking or transfer via ATM. Recently, online booking from their website is also possible with payment can be made online with credit cards from select countries. In April 2011, Garuda Indonesia announced plans to develop online sales. Garuda Indonesia had cooperated with Visa and MasterCard to develop an online credit card payment system, allowing customers to use PayPal. Debit card payments may be processed with Bank Mandiri, BCA or BII. Frequent Flyer Program. Garuda Frequent Flyer was launched in September 1999. In 2005, Garuda Indonesia relaunched its frequent flyer program called Garuda Frequent Flyer with a new look, benefits and services. The new program allows members to earn miles on domestic and international flights and has 4 tiers of membership covering GFF Junior, Blue, Silver, Gold, and Platinum status levels. Since June 2011, Garuda Indonesia launched a joint frequent flyer program with Korean Air. Members of the Garuda Frequent Flyer Program and Korean Air Euro unregistered trademark Sky Pass program will benefit from the cooperation by accruing mileage for flying both Korean Air and Garuda or any Garuda Euro Korean Air code share flights. From March 27, 2014, due to joining SkyTeam, Garuda Indonesia announced that Garuda Frequent Flyer renamed as Garuda Miles. Currently, GFF Gold and Platinum members whose membership expires in February, are being sent their new card under Garuda Miles, with other GFF members following soon. Before joining SkyTeam, GFF members can earn redeem their miles with Korean Air, IATA Airways, Air France KLM, and Jet Airways, Executive Lounge. The Garuda Executive Lounge is open to passengers traveling in executive class, as well as those holding a Gold or Platinum Garuda Frequent Flyer card. Starting in 2011, passengers with an Executive Card Plus card or Garuda Indonesia Citibank credit card can no longer gain access to the lounge. Lounges are located at Soekarno-Hatta International Airport and throughout Indonesia, offering food and drinks, wireless internet, showers, meeting rooms and business services. Sponsorships. Until 2010, Garuda sponsors the Indonesian Robotic Olympiad, a regional version of the World Robot Olympiad, where the winning teams receive free flights towards the location of the World Robot Olympiad. Garuda Indonesia still sponsors each Indonesian teams for the World Robot Olympiad until now. Garuda Indonesia was the official sponsor of the 2011 SEA Games. Garuda Indonesia also support the Wonderful Indonesia tourism campaign by placing the Wonderful Indonesia logo in their promotion materials as well as on the hull of their fleet. In July 2012, Garuda Indonesia signed a 3-year sponsorship deal with Premier League club Liverpool FC. The agreement gives Garuda Indonesia the right to be the official partner of Liverpool Football Club and the official global airline partner of Liverpool Football Club. In addition, a 6-minute advertisement video of Garuda Indonesia will be broadcast during matches held at the Liverpool FC home ground, Anfield, for the 2012-2014 season. Awards. In 2010, the Centre for Asia-Pacific Aviation named Garuda Indonesia as Asia's leading service quality airline. Skytrax awarded the airline the world's most improved in 2012. This is the beginning of a string of accolades recognizing the success of the airline Quantum Leap program. Roy Morgan's survey named Garuda Indonesia the best international airline, surpassing several distinguished airlines, such as Singapore Airlines, Emirates and Air New Zealand, with 91% of respondents gave a very satisfied rating. The airline achieved platinum-level recognition from the League of American Communications Professionals on its annual report. In July 2012, Garuda Indonesia was recognized as the World Euro unregistered trademark's best regional airline by the global airline review and ranking consultancy, Skytrax. In 2013, Skytrax awarded Garuda Indonesia the world's best economy class for its service and product at the Paris Air Show 2013. For the first time, Garuda Indonesia ranked 8th in the Skytrax Euro OE, the World Euro unregistered trademark's top 10 airlines Euro. During the Euro OE Passenger Choice Award 2013, Euro held in September 2013 in Anaheim, California, organized by Euro OE Airline Passenger Experience Association Euro, Garuda Indonesia was distinguished as the Euro OE Best in Region, Asia and Australasia Euro. In July 2014, Skytrax awarded Garuda Indonesia Euro OE the World Euro unregistered trademark's Best Cabin Staff Euro recognition. The award was based on a global customer satisfaction survey conducted on 18 million passengers between the period of August 2013 and May 2014. The recently launched First Class, on Boeing 777-300ER, was ranked the 9th world's best first class, the 6th world's best first class seat, and the 3rd world's best first-class amenity kits by Skytrax in 2014. Overall, Garuda Indonesia was ranked 7th on the 2014 Skytrax Best Airlines Awards, an improvement from the 8th position in 2013. Incidents and accidents. On February 3, 1961, a Douglas C-47 operating Flight 542 went missing while flying over the Java Sea. All 5 crew and 21 passengers on board were believed to have been killed. On February 16, 1967, Garuda Indonesia Airways Flight 708 crashed on landing at Manado, capital of the North Sulawesi province, killing 22 out of 84 passengers. On May 28, 1968, a Convair 990 bound for Karachi, Pakistan crashed into the sea shortly after taking off from Bombay Santa Cruz Airport. All 29 people on board died. In addition, there was 1 casualty on the ground. On September 7, 1974, a Fokker F-27 crashed on approach to Tangerang Karangbanti Airport. The aircraft crashed short of the runway while on approach in limited visibility. The aircraft eventually struck buildings near the runway and caught fire. 33 out of 36 people on board perished. On September 24, 1975, Garuda Indonesia Flight 150 crashed on approach to Sultan Mahmud Badruddin II Airport. The accident, which was attributed to poor weather and fog, killed 25 out of 61 passengers and 1 person on the ground. On July 11, 1979, a Fokker F-28 on a domestic flight hit a volcano on approach to Medan Airport, Indonesia. All 61 people on board were killed. On March 20, 1982, a Fokker F-28 on a domestic flight overran the runway at Tangerang Karangbanti Airport in bad weather. The aircraft subsequently burst into flames, killing all 27 people on board. On April 4, 1987, Garuda Indonesia Flight 035 hit a pylon and crashed on approach to Palunya International Airport in bad weather. 24 people were killed. On June 13, 1996, Garuda Indonesia Flight 865 overran the runway at Fukuoka Airport, Japan after aborting takeoff well above rotation speed. The No. 3 engine fuel line was severed, resulting in a massive fire and the total destruction of the rear end of the aircraft. 3 of the 275 people on board were killed. On September 26, 1997, Garuda Indonesia Flight 152, an Airbus A300B4-220 flying from Jakarta to Medan, crashed in Sibulangit, 18 miles short of Medan Airport in low visibility, killing all 234 people on board. It is the deadliest aviation incident in Indonesia. On January 16, 2002, Garuda Indonesia Flight 421 en route from Lombok to Yogyakarta was forced to make an emergency landing in poor weather on the Bengawan Solo River, due to an engine flameout caused by water and hail ingestion. 1 person, a stewardess, was killed in the accident. On September 7, 2004, human rights activist Munir Said Thalib was murdered on Garuda Indonesia Flight 974. Garuda's CEO at the time, Indra Seshawan, his deputy Rowana Laini, and pilot Polikarpus Prianto were all convicted of his murder. Garuda was found negligent in refusing to perform an emergency landing and was ordered to pay compensation to Munir's widow. Garuda then failed to pay the compensation. On March 7, 2007, Garuda Indonesia Flight 200, a Boeing 737-400 flying from Jakarta to Yogyakarta, crashed and burst into flames on landing at Adi Sucipto International Airport, Yogyakarta. 21 people were killed. See also: List of airlines of Indonesia, List of airports in Indonesia, List of companies of Indonesia, Transport in Indonesia. References. External links, Official website, Garuda Annual Report 2012, Garuda Indonesia Highlights.